Hello, fellow crafters. Thank you for visiting the Crafty Connection. My name is Lori and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to show you how I made these three crosses here out of clothespins. There's three different size clothespins. They are the large clothespins, which is this one, the medium size clothespins, and the small clothespins. Okay, so here's the large ones. These you would find at the Dollar Tree in the laundry aisle or section. And the medium and the small here are found in the Crafter Square craft section. Okay, for each cross, can't talk today. They're actually all made exactly the same. They're just smaller versions because obviously the size of the clothespins. On the medium and the large, I did add little wooden half beads on them just for decoration purposes. And these are, let me see if I can pull out the size that I used. So I used this size and the one directly smaller. I will post a link below where I got these from. I got them on Amazon. They came in a 4-pack, I believe, or maybe a 5-pack of different sizes. And that's personal preference. You can leave those off or add them or add whatever you want to them. And these I ended up putting, staining with the Waverly Antique Wax for this particular set. Alright, so I'm going to set these aside and show you how I made them. You're going to need 14 clothespins for each cross, small, medium, and the large. So what you're going to have to do is take we're going to start with the large. Take your clothespin and you're going to have to separate it. So you just twist it and kind of finagle the little metal piece off. You can save these if you know something you could do with them, or throw them away. So you need 14 full clothespins. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Excuse me. I've already taken mine apart, so I can move on with the... Alright. I'm going to set this here for reference. And so what you're going to need to do is, you can use hot glue for these. I prefer to use this wood glue from Super Glue. I get this also at the Dollar Tree. This is fantastic. This stuff makes these things, I mean, it bonds with the wood. These are very, very, very solid pieces. But they can be done with hot glue also. They just aren't going to be as sturdy as the ones with wood glue. So what you're going to do is you're going to take 12 of these and you're going to like literally put them back in the same direction they were. It's just minus the metal piece in the middle. Sorry, my glue doesn't want to work here. Get something to pop it open. There we go. Alright, so on the clothespin, I take the wood glue, and I don't put a lot. I just put a little dab there and there. You can see in those three, it's kind of hard to see on the camera. You can see that. That's where I put them, because those are the only parts that actually touch. And I line them up. Wipe off the excess glue. And you really don't need clamps for these. This glue dries pretty fast. You just squeeze them together, wipe off the excess glue, and set them to the side. A tip: if you want to paint these pieces or stain them before you put them together, it does make them easier, in my opinion, in the long run, because when I was staining this one, there's a lot of little holes and crannies here that I had to get into. I did it, but I think it would have been easier to stain or paint them first. But as always, I like to make things difficult, so I'm going to keep going with the raw wood. Obviously, if you don't plan on painting yours, you don't have to do anything. So I'm going to again put my 3 dabs of glue on those areas there. Squeeze them together. I am using a piece of parchment paper here on my craft mat, just because if glue does seep out and we don't get it all off, it's much easier to pick up your clothespin. Okay, just squeeze those together. So this, you're going to need exactly 12, 13, no. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 12 of these you're going to glue in that formation I just showed you. I'll do another one here. Another tip too, when you're doing these, after you've wiped the glue off, set them down and just kind of press them in the middle, because sometimes they like to go sideways or a little wonky. So just to make sure they're there. Okay, I'm going to do one more on camera, then I'll do the rest off camera and come back and move on to the next step. Again, the 3 small dabs of glue. Press them together and just make sure they're lined up as best they can get. Dollar Tree clothespins are not all the same, so sometimes you might get one that's a little shorter, or an end piece that has, I'm looking to see here if I have one that, of course not. Sometimes you'll get them and they'll have like chipped wood right here. I try not to use those just because they're harder to stain when they're together, but it really doesn't matter too much. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and finish these up and then come back and move on to the next step. Okay, I am back. I have the 12 all glued together to where they look like the original clothespin minus the metal in the middle. And these were done about 5 minutes ago, and these are pretty secure already with the glue here from the Dollar Tree. Oops, awesome glue. Alright, so 2 of these you leave just like this, split apart. And then the last one, you're going to glue it on the flat side. So you're going to glue it on the side that's flat. You don't need much of this. You don't want to put a bunch of it on because it globs out on the side, and then you're just wasting a lot of glue and have a mess. So line them up the best you can. Wipe any glue that spills out. Give it a press down to make sure it's flush, and set it to the side. Alright, now to assemble. You want to take 3 of your clothespins to start. Move those over so they can dry some more. And you're going to lay them out similar to this. So it doesn't matter really if you put it down more, up more, but you want it similar. I'm going to line my top edges of the outside two up with the first hole of the clothespin. And then what you're going to do is, so I'm seeing here that makes my, so from this part of the clothespin, like a little indentation, up is where I need to put my glue. That way you don't have any glue where you don't need it. So I'm going to put some glue on that piece. Line it up where I want to put it and press it together. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. And press them together, hold them for a few seconds to give them something to grab onto. Now you could clamp these if you wanted to. I have some Dollar Tree clamps here. I think I got these in the automotive or hardware section. And you can clamp these together just to make sure they stay together. So you need to do that 4 times the exact same way. Slide until they get a chance to bond. I like these particular clamps from the Dollar Tree because they have some in the Crafter Square section. I think I have some here actually. Yes, let look like this. And these are great too, but they only open up so far. So if you need a bigger clamp, instead of spending bigger money for what I call industrial clamps, I guess they're just normal clamps, I just get these from the Dollar Tree. You get, I think 3 or 4 in a pack. I'm sure I'm wrong, but they come with more than 1 in a pack for $1.25, and they open up large enough to hold bigger projects together. Okay. And I only have 2 of these clamps out here with me, so I'm going to take this one off the first one because it's had time to bond, and I'm going to put it on that one, and we have 1 more to do here. press them and push them down, make sure they're all aligned. Oops. This one came loose, so let me bond these together and then I'll come back and fix that one. Alright. Now these are not dry by any means yet, but they're dry enough to where we can assemble the top part of the cross and then let it dry and come back and finish the bottom part. So for this particular one, what you want to do, you're going to set it into a pattern. If you can see that with my clamps on, I will take them off in a moment. You want to put them in this pattern, almost looks like a star, which is an idea for another clothespin project. But for this one, this is how you want it to look and how I do it. One of these needed fixed, right? Maybe not. I take my first three and I put the glue on the bottom of each clothespin on the, I guess I call them the legs, like that. And then these two pieces will connect right to those. Just kind of press them in and let them sit there. Same thing with the bottom piece. Put your glue on the very bottom of the clothespins or the legs. And press that one up to. Now sometimes these are not a perfect match, like this one is not. You just gotta kind of fiddle with it, just flip it over, whatever, to make it work. And then just kind of press them together and hold them for 20 seconds or so, just to give it a chance to kind of bond in. And then what I do, just to make sure I have a secure hold, because I don't know if you can see it on camera, but this piece right here doesn't have a full touch to this clothespin. So what I do is I take my glue and I just give it a little dot of glue where they connect. Okay, so I put glue, let me find something I can point with so I don't have my big finger there. I put glue here and here, here and here, here and here, and here and here, at the points where they all connected. And I'm going to let it sit here and dry for a little while, and then I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing. And it just gives it extra security. This glue dries clear, so you won't see it when it's dry. And then I'll come back and we will finish putting the cross together. Alright, so I'm back and I glued the back side of the cross as well as the front on these corners here. It's not completely dry yet, but it's dry enough to continue building. The next step is to take the piece that you put together, like this one, and we're going to glue this on the sides of the top of the rounded part. Put the glue on each side. So I put it on the side and on the side right there. And we're going to put some on the top, a little bit, kind of where the top angles. There. So I put some on the top also. And I'm going to slide this piece up to the very bottom of the cross like that. And then we're going to take these other two pieces, the pieces that we didn't put together, and glue on the flat side. You can see that's on the flat side there. We glued on the bottom here, the flat side. And that is going to go up to the top of the longest clothespin, and slide all the way up to the bottom of the pin and put it in there, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to push it all the way up to the bottom of this clothespin right here. Push it in. And then I'm going to clamp this right here. And I'm going to put one up here just so you can see the shape of the cross is now together. And then at this point you could stop. You could let it dry and then be done, paint it, stain it, leave it how you want it. The choice is yours. I chose to add the wood cubes, or wood half beads, excuse me. And I'm probably going to do the same on this one. So I'm going to pull those out. I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the larger size. And I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the smaller size. And again, I will link these below, what I got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in case you're interested in getting them, or something similar. I mean, you could really use any type of embellishments you want here. You could use the little pearls from Dollar Tree and paint over them, or leave them how you want. Anything you want, it's your choice. So these half beads I have, the one is a little over, the bigger one is a little over 1/2 of an inch, and the smaller one, it looks to be exactly 1/2 an inch. So those are the two different sizes. This is the 1/2 an inch and a little over 1/2 an inch, and these are in diameter. And then what I did for these is I took the top little circle where the clothespins come together, and I put some glue around it, and I set my little bead on there, centered it how I wanted it, and then the second little hole where the clothespin comes together, I put the larger bead and centered it how I wanted it. So, I mean, you could do these any way you want to. This was my preference. So let me go ahead and put the glue up here around my holes. And then, again, I put the smaller bead here, centered it how I wanted it. The larger bead here, larger bead on the inside, smaller bead right there. And I have to stand up and look down and make sure I have centered how I want them. This one needs to come over a bit. Otherwise, that looks pretty good. And go ahead and take these off. And glue the holes here at the bottom. larger one right there and center that. The smaller one right here. Larger one here. And smaller bead there. So I'm going to leave those here to dry. I'm going to let it dry really good. Then I will come back when I'm all done and we will stain it. This time I'm using, this one I used the antique wax. This time I'm going to use the Apple Barrel Burnt Umber. And I'm going to water it down. I've seen so many people do make their own stain by watering down the paint. So I'm going to try it with the brown or the burnt umber first. And if I like this, I might use a different color on these in the future with like a blue or whatever if it really looks like a stain. So I'm going to let this dry, come back and paint this one, and we'll put the other two sizes together. Okay, so I'm back and I went ahead and glued all of the pieces for the medium and the small. Same exact way we did for the large cross. So I'm going to go ahead. This one is pretty much dry and it is very secure. So I'm going to set this one out of the way. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the small and the medium. We'll do the medium first. I want to give you a tip though. When you're doing these small ones, they can be a pure pain in the butt. They're very small. So a suggestion is to get a paintbrush and put a little glue on a plate or in something. I got these at the Dollar Tree. And to just kind of paint on your spots and then put them together because they are super small. So we're going to go ahead and do this medium one. This is put together the exact same way as the large one. So we're going to start by putting glue. And my glue is coming. There we go. Not coming out. Hold on 1 second while I find the little pokey tool. Again, at the top part of the clothespin, and it's still not coming out. What is going on here? Sorry about that. Let's try this again. Third time's a charm. There we go. So I'm going to put the glue again on from that little cutout piece all the way to the top. And then put that piece with this one. I line up the notches at the bottom of the top clothespin. So the notch and then the clothespin. And do the same thing on the other side with the glue. Way too much glue there. And the same thing, line that up with the notch. Carefully holding it. As you see, I just separated it. Okay. Grab my paper towel to get some of this issues here. All about the joy of crafting. Okay, I'm going to grab a clamp for this. Okay. Let's try this again. A little more glue. I don't think I'll need the clamp. If I can just, there we go. I'm going to move that one up here. And like I said, there's a little glue showing there, but it'll dry clear, so it'll be fine. We're going to do 4 of those, just like we did with the large one. Hopefully these will go on a little bit easier than that first one. Slide that one up to dry. One more. So there's all 4 of those done and put together. So we're also going to put this together the same way as the large one. I'm going to take the first one because it's had a little more time to adhere together, putting the glue on the very tips. And I'm going to push those up to it like that, making sure everything is lining up. And then the bottom, same thing. And then connect that one. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did on the large one. I'm going to add a bit of glue to these connecting pieces. Let it sit for a few minutes and then I'll wipe some of the excess glue off. And while that's sitting there, I'm going to work on the small one, doing the exact same thing. And this time I'm going to use the paintbrush because these are so small. paintbrushes can get cakey with the glue. You just gotta kind of wipe it off as you go. Alrighty. Same thing, the glue goes on the top. I just kind of dab it in there to make sure I get enough. And then line these up the same way as the top. Do 3 more. I'm going to try to put these on at the same time just because they are so small. This might make it a little bit easier. Okay. I would say out of all of the 3 that I'm doing, these tiny ones are the worst as far as difficulty, just because they're so tiny. Maybe using some tweezers would help, but they're so cute and it's very well worth the little extra efforts that it takes. This one has a little glue right here, and I'm gonna wait to wipe it because it'll come apart if I wipe it right away. So I'm gonna hold these in place here and just kind of wipe the excess glue. And I'm gonna go ahead and carefully, maybe not yet. We'll glue these together and let them dry a bit before we move on. Got to be careful because they stick to the paper from the glue from the bottom. So that's why I use the parchment paper. Alright, so we're going to take this carefully so it's not dry and dab on some glue to the bottom. Add these 2 pieces, lining them up, and then the last one. And the same thing here. Just kind of fiddle with them until you get them how you want them. Or how they all connect evenly, I should say. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing with the glue. Actually, I'm going to do it with the paintbrush. Just going to add some glue here on each of the seams, or joints, or where they come together. However you want to call it. To put enough so it kind of gets down in the connection there, And then, okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and try to flip this one carefully. And that came a little looser. And do the same thing here. Another reason I like using the wood glue on these is that it holds better, obviously, it dries clear. And when you use the hot glue, sometimes it can dry faster than you put it together, and you get like a lump or a bump in it, and you don't get a smooth connection. So, alright. Let those sit for a few. Let's see if we can wipe some. Oops, it came apart. Maybe I will add some more glue and leave it alone for a minute. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to let those dry for about 5 or 10 minutes and wipe off the excess, and then come back and finish putting them together. Alright, so I put some more glue. I flipped the little part of the cross, top part of the little cross over, and added some more glue, and I'm going to let that sit there for a few, and we'll go ahead and finish putting the medium size one together. Okay, so what we're going to do first is, just like the large one, add a little glue here to the top, the round part, and kind of put him up there, and then take our other two pieces that are just separated and glue on the flat side. And we're going to butt him up to the bottom of the side clothespin. If I can get, let me add a little more glue since I just knocked some of it off. There we go. Okay, and the other side, same thing. Is done. And for this one, the one I already did, I also did the same with the beads, and I'm going to do that with this one also. And this one has 1, 2, 3, 4 of the larger ones and 5 of the smaller ones. And again, I will post the link in the description box for where I got these if you're interested. And I'm going to go ahead and glue my spots, which are the top and bottom holes of the middle clothespin on each one of the 4 sections at the top. The large one right here. The small one above it. Large one here. large one there. And those aren't even hitting the glue. Okay. Small one here. Small one there. Small one there. And then the last little hole at the bottom. I'm going to add one on there. And stand up and see if those are straight. They look pretty good. And I'm going to slide this one over and finish the small one. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and wipe some of this excess glue off. And it's dried pretty well on there. I'm going to leave it and then pick at it when it's completely dry. I can pick the extra parts off. I'm going to go ahead and put some, that glue's getting hard already, on the top here of the circle part of the clothespin. And position him right there. Put the glue on the flat part, just like with the other two. Some tweezers might really come in handy on this small one, but I don't have any out here. Alright, so they are all put together now, and they need to dry completely before we paint or stain them. So we have the large one, the medium, and the small. I did not put any of the half wooden beads on the small one because I don't have any beads that small. If I had some, I would put them on, but I don't, so I won't. Thought that looked a little crooked there. Alright, so I'm going to let these dry and come back and we will try the homemade staining method. Alright guys, I will be back shortly. Okay, so I'm ready to try the homemade stain. So what I'm going to do is take some of the Burnt Umber by Apple Barrel, and I'm going to put some paint in here. Not sure exactly how much water to add, because I see different people use different amounts, so I am putting about half a teaspoon in there, and that fills that little thing up. And my paintbrush, I'm going to stir it up slowly and carefully. If this works, it might fill the little holes in easier. We will find out. Give it a good stir. And we will try it out. Let's see what we get. I've seen some people use baby wipes with this too, so let me grab one just to have in case I need to wipe. I guess a baby wipe or paper towel would work just fine. let's see what we get. It definitely does go into the little crevices, which is nice. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the bottom part, and then I'll wipe and see what we get. This is quite runny, which I think is what we're looking for. Let's wipe that down and see what we get. Okay. So far, I can see that it's not wanting to go over the wood glue too much. I'm going to try to pat some on there and see what happens. Yeah, it's not taking to where the wood glue was. So I'm thinking maybe we can put some without water, just the regular paints, and see if, yeah, that's working much, it's fine. So yeah, the regular, kind of just dab it on in the spots where the glue didn't, or the wood glue was out. Seems to work like a charm so far. Just kind of dabbing a little bit everywhere. But I definitely like how it goes in between the holes and fills up those spots. Okay, I'm going to do this part, then I'll do the sides, and we'll flip it over and do the back. So. This definitely is quick, using this watered down acrylic paint as a stain. Wipe it down and see what we have going. Alright, same thing with the glue. We'll just dab some regular paints on there. to cover those spots up. I do kind of like how it's patchy throughout the stain. I think it would look really cool with like a navy blue or any color really. Just dabbing away here. So the areas that it's not getting down, like the smaller holes, you could always get like a Q-tip and just put some stain down in those holes. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the front and back of this one and the medium and the small, and come back and show you the completed project. I do want to mention, when I made the stain here, I put about, I'm going to say, half of a teaspoon of the burnt umber paint and a half a teaspoon of water. So a half, a 1-to-1 ratio, mixed it up, and that's what I got here. So I'm going to go ahead and finish it up off camera and come back and show you the finished project. Okay, so I'm back, and what I did add some more brown regular of the burnt umber paint to these because the clothespins, the wood is super cheap, so it just soaked up literally all of the stain I made with the watered down burnt umber. So I went over them again with just regular paint, not watered down. And then I decided they were a little plain, so I went ahead and dry brushed some antique white from Craftsmart onto the medium and the small one. I'll show you those. I just did a light dry brushing on these just to give them a little something. And I'm going to do the large one on camera so you can see how I did it. I'm just using, I don't know, it's like a bristle brush. I use them for dry brushing. I like them a lot. I got these at the Dollar Tree. They're 3 for $1.25. And I lightly dip the end of my brush in the paint. And then I go ahead and dab off most of that paint. And I start on the edges, just lightly kind of outlining the piece with the antique white. And I do this all the way around. I don't worry about getting in these little crannies right here because when I go to do the inside parts of the cross, it'll get covered. Paint, dab off all the excess. Inside here of this part. Okay, got the outer sides and the inner part of there where I could reach it with the brush. And load up a little more, dab off most of it. And then what I do is I just kind of lightly brush it between all the clothespins. And then sometimes I get a little heavy-handed, like right there, right here. So what I will do when I'm finished with the lighter color dry brushing, which I am, I will take a little bit more of the burnt umber, just a teeny tiny bit. Okay. And get that on the end of the brush. Dab it off. And then I will just do the same technique, dry brush. And that's not working because it's still wet. So let me just get a paper towel here. Alright. So here's a little anyway, it works better when it's dry, obviously, but you get the point. And I didn't do the back. And then there you have it, dry brushed. I might go ahead and do the back. I haven't decided yet. So, but probably not because it won't be seen. So there you have it. We have the large, the medium, and the small. So there's so many, different ways that you could decorate these. You could paint them, you could outline them with a gold or a silver paint pen or any kind of pen. Paint them whatever color you want. You could put rhinestones here, little flowers. I mean, the possibilities are endless. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and you'll be making your own crosses on here. And just to show you, these are super, super, super sturdy. Now that the glue is dried, these are not coming apart. And for these little ones, another cute idea, you could put some string through this little hole here, and you could have a car dangler or a magnet on the back for a magnet. It's just all kind of different stuff you could do with these, and they make great gifts. Alright guys, until the next video, I hope everyone has a great day. Please like, subscribe, and share. It really helps my channel grow. And I appreciate you so much, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.